Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is season 5, episode 21, and this is the finale of season 5. I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in, and downloading. This season has been a blast, and it has been a fun ride. I've had some amazing guests, I've done some amazing solo episodes, and it has got great downloads, great coverage, and a lot of people have reached out and shown the love. So I can't thank you all enough for listening and downloading. This podcast was a dream of mine. A few years ago, I started this podcast, and I didn't know really what the journey would be like, what the venture would be like, but it's been incredible. And to be 5 seasons complete, it feels really good. It's a big achievement for me, and I want to thank everybody that has continued motivating me to put this out, continued showing the support because this has been fun. And I'm going to continue vibing with Sleazy the podcast. I'm going to do season 6 towards the end of the year, going into next year. I do my breaks between each season just because this show does take a lot of work. But the work paid off. I've been very blessed for this show to be listened to on every continent, so many countries, so many downloads, and then also too, it's really cool that people have bought the T-shirt, people rep the brand, and and also people have shown so much love on social media as well. So Bible was Easy, the podcast, I started it a couple of years ago, and it was basically an idea, a dream that had been going on for 4 years in my head. I had tons of people telling me you need to start a show, you need to do a podcast, you have stories, you connect with people. So I did, and it's gotten me to here. So 5 seasons complete. It feels really, really, really good. The reason I'm doing another solo episode here and doing that for the finale because I just wanted to show gratitude and love. I also wanted to talk about um, some ideas for the future, and I also just wanted to vibe with the fans and kind of talk about the podcast. And I also wanted to also take advantage of this episode and inform people how they can start their own podcasts and start their own dream. I have a lot of people that have been on the show, or a lot of people that just listen to my show that have reached out asking how they start one and they have ideas. And I love hearing all of it. Everybody has a dream, and everybody has a right to try something. So if you have a podcast idea, go for it. That's another reason I wanted to do this episode. So what this episode will be called, because all my episodes are named Sleazy Vibes with, it's going to be Sleazy Vibes with Sleazy, the season 5 finale. So like I said, the main reason I thought about what could I do for the finale. Do I get a guest? Do I do a solo episode on a topic? And I thought, let me just teach people how to podcast, also kind of share some things about me, but also just share the love of getting to this point with the podcast. The thing that with podcasting, you really you just have to have an idea. You got to get a title. You got to get a logo, a brand. You got to also pretty much just come up with an idea of what you really want to do. The great thing with my show, I've done it where I've had guests, I've had it solo, I've done different topics, I've done an international episode. So you can do anything. The world's your oyster. You can basically pick and choose what you want to do. Oh, you could do a show with guests. You could do a show where it's just you. You could have a co host. There's so many opportunities in the podcast world that you can take advantage of and really do. And I think that's what is super cool because um, podcasting, you can go anywhere with it. So, like with Bible with Sleazy, the podcast, I love how my show is unorthodox and I can do really anything I want. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. Like in season 6, I might do some live episodes, I might do some different things, but I'm going to continue doing the style of what this show's been. But then I also want to jump into doing like sports debate shows and go over sports coverage and maybe cover games live and also maybe get into the YouTube world. I also want to try to get Bible Studies, the podcast, the audio episodes on YouTube so people can also access it there. And, of course, there's, there's tons of ideas that run through my head, but I like to do it, and I'm going to pull the trigger on them and execute, and just it's just the planning and taking off, and hopefully doing those will also help the Bible with Sleazy the brand as well. So, but back to like when you want to start a podcast, you really have to mainly have your title, your logo, your idea, your what you want to run with it, and then you just find a platform. I use Buzzsprout. Shout out to Buzzsprout. They've been phenomenal for the past couple years. They give me stats. They tell me locations of cities where the shows listen to, countries. Overall, it's basically my headquarters. I can track everything I need. I can do mastering. I can do mixing. I can upload. I see my download count. That's where I can edit. I can upload my pictures. So and also Buzzsprout's the one that's got me on 32 plus platforms. So that's humongous. I mean, that has gotten me international and worldwide with this show. So that's where you could be. And what's your main places that I have discovered when uploading my podcast is Buzzsprout, or excuse me, not Buzzsprout, that's who's hosted, is Spotify and Apple, of course. That's the main two places that people listen to podcasts and where you're going to get the most visibility and people use on a daily. But I've found out that there's a lot of other places that, it gets listened to as well. And I think, when it comes to that, that's what's really cool because you're trying to find like, okay, where can my podcast be played? And who's using what? And you really start thinking about like you have Amazon Music, you have Podcast Index, you got a lot of different places like that, and so that opens up to people that there's some places that like people go there just to listen to podcasts. And what's crazy too is that when I've been doing this, I have been discovering that a lot of situations when I'm looking at like who's been listening and downloading, I find out that people are um, having it uh, finding it through the hashtags. So like I hashtag like crazy when I upload every episode on the Buzzsprout. So that's another tip. Like you want to get them on as many platforms as you can. You want to hashtag so like anybody that's searching for a show, they can find it. Like I've literally hashtagged Hendersonville, Tennessee for a show I did with some Hendersonville, Tennessee people, and bam, somebody from Hendersonville, Tennessee, who just works on homes, was like needing a show to listen to, found it through the hashtag, and now is a vibing with Sleazy the fan, of my podcast, and that's huge. That's amazing, and that's a blessing. And also internationally, when I hashtag the countries, I started getting more Norwegian listeners and more Welsh listeners from Wales. So you can connect with the whole entire world with the podcast. That's another thing. That was always my dream, is to be able to have a voice and connect not only on the international level but on the American level, and just put it out there. And so once you get your hosting platform, once you start uploading the shows, you're going to be able to put like titles, info, because you'll have like summaries on your show. You'll also be able to um, connect with like all the different sites and see how they track and see where it's listed, and kind of get them all set up where it shows your show how you want it to be shown. Ratings are real important. I want to always get more of those. The ratings that I've gotten, I've been very blessed to have 5 stars. And when you rate people like that, that gets your show more dominance and more prominent views. And it's also marketing. I market big time with this show, put it on social media. And if you keep something repetitive, if you keep something pushing, and you continuously push stuff out, it works. I've been so blessed where I was very afraid of where I do this thing where I do 21 episodes, basically like you would see on a basic sitcom sometimes. And then I do a break, and then I come on to the next season. And it keeps me fresh. It keeps me researching. It keeps me bringing stuff new each season, and it also gives me that time to also handle life as well. So doing that, you get worried that people are going to get uninterested or forget about it. But no, me coming back after those hiatuses brings a fire, and people are like, oh, he's back. I want to listen. And that's what I've discovered. And I've been very blessed for that to happen 5 times in a row now with these 5 seasons, because I'm seeing that people are still listening. And it just really, really is a blessing. But overall, once you do that, you can start hashtagging. And then once you start getting it um, into the audio world, people can listen to it anywhere. And you'll start discovering how people have you on this and have you on that. And that's just it's a cool feeling. Now I have a lot of friends that also podcast and also do different things in the YouTube video world, and that's where I mentioned at the beginning of the show. I definitely want to dive into that, messing with some sports, and even Josh Ray, who was in episode 20, talking about collabing, maybe doing some video game work with videos. So I think that would be super cool, because there's a lot of money and opportunities that you can do with this technology, and it'd be fun to turn these kind of things into a career. Um, with this podcast, I've gotten some money, and I also made a profit off selling the shirts, so there was a blessing there. But you can really do anything with your brand. You can sell merch, you can promote it anywhere you want, because when you own your brand, it's your brand. But what's really cool when you watch in this YouTube world, and that's where I want to eventually venture in. And right now in the off season between my break, like I said, I'm gonna get the Bible with Sleazy episodes up on YouTube, and then also you can check out the website BibleWithSleazy.com. And that's another reason doing this finale episode too. I just wanted to talk about the podcast and promote it, and just reflect. And so you know, and once you get it going, the opportunities are endless. So that there's not a real long task. There's not some college or book you need on podcasts, and you just gotta get creative and dive in. And like I said, the world's your oyster with this, and podcasts can take you anywhere. And that's where um, the thing about it is too, that there's this future age is a real blessing. I was talking to a couple friends here recently, and it's cool how living in the technology world, where I started when technology was very small, born in '89, and now to where it's at now, you see it taking off for health and science and medical in the world, and technology's been huge in computers. But then now seeing what it's done for creative people, and all the apps, and then where it's at now with like YouTube, like I'm saying, and the different things you can do with music and sports and all the opportunities. I mean, it's just really, really a cool place to be right now in this world, for to be a creative person. And I've always been a creative person, so it's been fun to do that. I try to get my hand in every world I can, try to be creative. Like I've done, music, poetry, podcasts, and sports, anything that I can give a try. That's the way I like to do it, and that's what I want to continue doing. Um, Another thing I wanted to, talk about too on this season is just reflect on some of the past episodes. Um, Getting to season 5, I look back on my episodes, and I've had some incredible guests. There's been some wild episodes. There's been some controversial episodes. There's been some hilarious episodes, and there's been some unique episodes. There's a couple people that I look back, and they probably weren't the best guests, but I loved all my guests and gave them a shot. And I'm not ashamed. I have no regrets, and I'm glad I had them on. I've also had some amazing guests. I've had some guests on that never dove into the podcast world and probably should have their own podcast. So it's been a lot of fun. I was talking to Josh. He asked me a question on episode 20 about my favorite episodes that I've done, and um, you know, I go back to that season one, and it was just really, really special. Um, my first episode was with Sean Patrick O'Brien. Rest in peace to Sean P. He was a huge supporter of the show. He had already been really big in the podcast world, and it was really cool for him to be a part of it. I can't thank him enough for all the support that he gave me, and he introduced me to so many wrestlers and got my podcast out to so many wrestlers. It was just super cool, and his legacy will live on. And then another uh, person, that again we talked about in episode 20 is Aaron Brown. Aaron, I went to high school with, hung out, grew up with. Rest in peace to Aaron. Huge supporter, been a guest. Really always wanted me to get big with this, and his support has been amazing. So rest in peace to him. So I got to shout out to both of them. When you lose two people who have been a part of your journey, you always got to recognize them. That's in any world. So I I want to definitely show my respect to those two, and that was another thing I wanted to mention for sure on this episode. But just reflecting back on the positive times as well, getting J Town High School, that was awesome. Being able to go to Tennessee with it, and I've pretty much interviewed a whole family down there. Being able to do episodes where I've had more than three people in the room, and that's been unique to get that experience. The international episodes, like I mentioned on episode 20, Norway and Wales, being able to do those, and seeing how those got listens. And then, you know, um, the ghost episodes I did with Sarah Odom, being able to tell my paranormal stories, that was a lot of fun. I got a shout out to the reoccurring guests that come on a lot. Josh Wright, like just who just was on, Frankie Blythe, Christine Hernandez, uh, James Dalton. Those are the people that have been on, been support. Paige, beyond, shout out to Paige. Paige was been riding with me for a few seasons. She's doing her brand, I'm doing mine. She hasn't been on the past couple, but Paige was a big part of my show. Jim and I want to shout out to the people that have been riding since day one, like Patrick Pugh, AJ Thomas. Those are people that I have to shout out because all the love and support, and the people that have just really brought it when it comes to supporting. But also, I got to just shout out the people that, you know, have been just keep riding with the show, and keep wanting to be a part of it, and that's just special. That's a fun connection. Also too with podcasting, it's been fun when a lot of people come over. What has been cool is people bring gifts, and they bring things to try, and so I've gotten to try a lot of cool like scotches, bourbons. I've gotten a lot of cool gifts, especially in the spiritual world. A lot of people that I've interviewed are in the spiritual world. I've also have to shout Riley Dickens. Riley's been huge for my show. He sells my shirts at What Makes You Smile Gallery and Gifts. So there's only whatever's at his store is the last remaining of the shirts. So go get one if you haven't got one in Louisville, Kentucky. But I'm hoping to bring some more merch here in the future too as well, because the shirts did really well. But Riley's been huge, and he connected me with a lot of artists on season 4. And so that was really cool, getting to get these local artists on a podcast and give them a voice. And, a lot of things that people have told me as of recent, with these local episodes I've done, and a lot of my close friends have thanked me for giving people a voice, giving locals a platform, giving the friends a way to speak, and that means a lot to me. That's why this podcast is so important to me, and that's another reason I wanted to do this episode. I want your support. I want you to listen, because this is a passion of mine. This isn't a money passion. This isn't a forced passion. This is a passion of mine. This is a fun, and I'm really, really enjoying this journey. Um, I also really, really hope in the future some more sponsorships, some more opportunities with people that want to associate their brand with me. Shout out to Dee Taylor, who's been on 502 Hemp, 812 Hemp. She's really helped me out as well. And it just anybody around on the journey, I love you. I thank you. I thank you for riding. So anybody I didn't mention, it's not forgetting you. It's just at the end of the day, I thank all of you all for that journey. And the journey is going to continue. It's going to keep riding. But I really that's my main goal. Not only to bring some merch and to see what new I can do, but I really want a big sponsor. I think I could really promote it, do it big, and I think that's the goal that I want to reach. And I've even told people I know that this journey is going to take time. That's why I'm patient, and that's why I keep pushing it. And I think eventually it can get to that point. But I'm just happy at where it's at, and I'm happy to really get to this point. Another thing that I wanted to do on this show as well is that if any ideas you got, I'm always loving to listen to the people's takes and listen and guest recommendations. So I'm very open minded. I'm not confrontational on that. I think new ideas, fresh ideas are great and healthy. And so I love to hear anything that people want to tell me. And I'm also wanting to do in the future some travel documentaries, travel vlogs. I actually scrapbooked all my trips. It took me some time, but I'm really glad I put them in a bunch of books, like all my maps and tickets and pictures. And it's cool to have those memories. It's cool to have that legacy. And so what I hope to do is travel more and maybe bring that into this show, and also maybe even do a spin-off travel show, maybe build an actual platform like a Bible Sleazy platform where there's spin-off shows with it. So there's so many ideas that go through my head. I don't really know what I'll officially do, but I'm just glad that this is the show that keeps riding and it's gotten success, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. Um, I also just want to say, anybody that's going through anything mentally, going through anything tough, anything that's just a really bad opportunity for you, or you're just not feeling good right now, reach out, show love to me. I'll show love back. I reach out, like just holler at me. I'm here for everybody, and and if you have anything that you want to talk about that you think is really important, reach out. I'm not going to be ashamed. I'll have you on the show. If you need to do a special recording, just let me know. I'm here for everybody, and and I think everybody deep down has a story. So I think that's what people have learned too. Listen to Bible Sleazy the podcast. I'm really hoping to keep reaching more countries. It's really fun knocking those off the list. So I'm hoping to see where those land and see where those go. Um, I feel like with this show, too, that it's been really cool to also see um, how like the technology works on like uploading and listening and like mixing and doing different processes. And I've even switched up equipment. I've done all different kinds of things. So that's been fun too, messing with that, because you can see the different situations and the different things that you can do with the show. Um, but overall, I just want to just thank you. I want to thank you for listening. I've done some major finales, having Antonio Pinto, shout out to Antonio, having him on a finale, and having Anthony Guida on the finale. Those were some big episodes, got me a lot of downloads. So those were a lot of fun to have on and do. And so this finale, like I said, I have super long episodes. I mean, the last episode was 2 hours. I have super short episodes. Derby episode was 16 minutes, but um, this finale wasn't going to be something huge or long, but it just wanted to show the gratitude, show the love, talk about the future, talk about the past, and I just want to thank you all. I want to thank just thank you all. So I love all you all, and Bible Season the podcast, 5 seasons down. And something I want to do before I sign off. I actually want to pull up my show, and I want to read every episode I've done. And I want to talk about every episode I've done, just from the standpoint of just name it off, and I'm gonna say something quick about each one, and that also to show my gratitude to all my guests, and also to just look back on recap here, and it's fun. It's really fun to reflect. So the first episode, Sleazy Vibes with Sean Patrick O'Brien, very very special. Um, Sean, like I said, rest in peace. Uh, I really thank him for being part of the first episode. Next episode, Sleazy Vibes with Christine Hernandez. Great guest. Been on tons of times. Sleazy Vibes with Sarah Odom. Paranormal episode. Amazing. That's another thing, too. I wanted to go over these so when you get to go back looking and listening, you can know what you're going to be hearing about and talking about. And that's how special this show's to me. I remember every episode. Sleazy Vibes with Evie Phelps. We talk about her wilderness and flower business and being working in parks and planting trees and everything. Sleazy Vibes with Eddie Rice. We talk about diabetes, Jacksonville Jaguars. Sleazy Vibes with Virginia Boone. We play a game where we pick topics out of a bowl. It was fun to do that. Sleazy Vibes with Josh, Aaron, and Tyler. So that's when Aaron ate the spicy chip and Josh and Tyler were on. Sleazy Vibes with Bessie Downs. We talk about her fitness journey. Sleazy Vibes with Frankie Blyce. We talk about being a barber, the NBA, coaching. Sleazy Vibes with Jim Dalton. So that was live from Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I got to use some different mics and equipment. Really cool. Sleazy Vibes with Cody Travelstead. So we talk about Get Some and his DJ career. Sleazy Vibes with Sean Fogel. We talk about his clothing brand and we talk about baseball. Sleazy Vibes with Contrary Cherry, which is AKA Paige, and we talk about psychic and doing readings. Sleazy Vibes with Harold Wainwright. We talk about photographs and finances. Sleazy Vibes with Casey Jones. We talk about eBay and flipping. Sleazy Vibes with Brandon Case and Tremaine Wilson. We talk about their podcast and we talk about the history of hooping and then also local basketball here in Louisville. Sleazy Vibes with Mary Jarrett Gilmore and Cody Taylor. We talk about Korea. Sleazy Vibes of Mercury. We talk about his rap career, dancing, and where he feels in Louisville. Sleazy Vibes with Dee Dee Taylor. We talk about her hemp business. Sleazy Vibes with Eric Carriglance and Kyle Johnson. We talk about their friendship and we talk about growing up together. Sleazy Vibes with Bobby Clark and Jamal DeBow. We talk about prison. Sleazy Vibes with the memory of Aaron Brown. We do a legacy episode from J Town High School on Aaron. Sleazy Vibes with John Nicholson. We talk about his graphic design career and being a musician. Sleazy Vibes with Josh Wright. We talk about restaurant stories, video games, and his career. Sleazy Vibes with Contrary Cherry. So Paige comes back. We do another reading. A lot of fun there. Sleazy Vibes with Gemini Coven. So Gemini comes on from Boise, Idaho. Sleazy Vibes with Leah Nolan. We talk about Jack Harlow concert and burgers. Sleazy Vibes with Shelby Lee. We talk about a wide range of topics about from TikToks to the spiritual world. Sleazy Vibes with Caitlin O'Connor. We went down memory lane and talked about college and just connected on where her world's at. Sleazy Vibes with Jeremy Parrott. We take that episode from San Diego, California. Sleazy Vibes with Aaron Vincent. We talk about being a skateboarder, legendary skateboarder. Sleazy Vibes with Keanu Asing. Talk to a Hawaiian pro surfer, Keanu. Sleazy Vibes with Danielle Marie. She's an OnlyFans girl. Sleazy Vibes with Christine Hernandez. We talk about horses. Sleazy Vibes with Emma Papa. So that was a live episode from Wales. Sleazy Vibes with AJ Thomas. We talk about his YouTube channel and crypto. Sleazy Vibes with Austin Rich. We talk about his comedy career. He actually just did show up in Harlem, New York. So shout out to Austin. Sleazy Vibes with Katie Delana. We talk about her husband's suicide. Sleazy Vibes with Charlie Lovall. We discuss baseball and his career in bodybuilding. Sleazy Vibes with Ashley DePaula. We talk about her cancer battle. Sleazy Vibes with Annette Guerrero. We take that episode live from San Diego, California. Sleazy Vibes with Sleazy. So I actually did another solo episode for the finale on season 2. So you can go back and listen to that. So a little bit different from what I'm doing on this one, but this is more of a reflection and gratitude episode. But that was a fun finale as well. The premiere was Sleazy Vibes with Sleazy season 3, and I was coming back, and there was a lot to talk about after that break. Sleazy Vibes with Contrary Cherry Part 1 and Part 2. So Paige came back on again. And then I had Eric Bush on. Sleazy Vibes with Eric Bush. We did a fantasy football episode. Then Sleazy Vibes with Hannah Hall, live from Nashville, Tennessee. Sleazy Vibes with Christina Hernandez, Part 1 and Part 2. So Horse Girl comes back on. Sleazy Vibes with Frankie Blythe. So we talk about his show, his brand, and we just talk about the barbershop. Sleazy Vibes with Gemini Coven. We talk about her food truck, Idaho, and Willy Wonka. And then I had Sean P on again for part one, part two, talking about wrestling and the music scene in Louisville. Again, rest in peace to Sean P. Sleazy Vibes with Tom Payne, part one, part two. He has his own show with his wife, so it was fun to have him on. Then I did another live episode from Norway, part one, part two, with Remy Mellabrotten. So shout out to Remy. It was cool to have him on. And then I had Dee Dee Taylor, part one, part two. And again, all these are sleazy vibes. But that was another one with the hemp lady, and we talked about where her business was at. I did a World Cup episode, part one, part two, for the World Cup in Qatar that Messi won. Then I did my finale, Sleazy Vibes with Antonio Pantoa, part one and part two. Shout out to Antonio. That was my biggest guest I've ever had from a name standpoint, and I really appreciate him coming on and doing two parts with me. And then you get into the next season, and I had Nicole Valentine for the premiere of season four. So shout out to Nicole. Then I had Christine on again. I had Andy Abel, the dumpster diver. I had Frankie talking about Vibe Tribe. I had Paula Hernandez coming on talking about owning horses. I had and being a nurse. I had Sean P on again, which actually this actually wasn't him on again. I apologize. This was my tribute episode of Sean P. So again, did a tribute to him. Larry Rice was on talking about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Riley Dickin was on talking about his store. I did a two-parter about ChatGPT, the AI brand, and talking about virtual AI. Then I did a Clay Mata episode with the big local artist Clay Mata. I did one with Whitney Yadon, another huge artist. Angel Marie Mays, who is a therapist. I had Herb Bradshaw on, who's a very nice artist. I had Scott Steyer on, a beer collector. I vibed with Louisville, so did a whole episode on my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Then I did a part one, part two NFL episode. So I gave a whole preview of the 2023-2024 season. Then I had Andrea Wyatt, which was cool. We talked about Japan and teaching and where her life is. Then we had Doug K on. Shout out to Doug K. I had Anthony Guida on. We did a finale live from California, Los Angeles. Then I had Christine Hernandez on again for the premiere of this season, season five. Danielle Perkins, who came on. We talked about trips. Then I went to NBA All Star Weekend in Indy, did an episode on that. Had Stephanie Parker on, talk about trees. I did a Louisville edition true crime episode, which was a blast. Sports betting, the 2024 MLB preview, the 2024 March Madness episode, Will Robinson, Frankie, WWE WrestleMania 40, 2024 Masters Tournament, Jim Dalton, Nick Byrne, the 2024 NBA playoffs, the 2024 NFL draft, a louder than life episode of the Kentucky Oaks, talking about the 150th Kentucky Oaks, the 150th Kentucky Derby. I have coming out for episode 20. This episode I'm recording, but by the time this comes out, episode 20 would have been out with Josh Wright, and then bam, the finale, season 5 finale. That's what you're listening to here. So I have a lot of episodes out. So I've gone over 100, got to celebrate episode 100 this season, which was a huge accomplishment. So it was fun just going over all those. I was getting tired there because you're just, going through sleazy vibe. But yeah, I got sleazy vibes with all these different categories and topics and special guests. So go back and listen, go back and download. I appreciate the love and support. You downloading helps me. And if you got a sponsorship, if you want to sponsor me, reach out, show love. I would love that. But keep downloading the show, all platforms, anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcast, and check out the website, Vibing with Sleazy, and also check out the social medias, Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast on Facebook and Instagram. So, people, I'm ready to take my break. I'm ready to enjoy summer and go into season 6 fresh. Season five's been electric. It's been a blast. Thank you again. Keep downloading, keep listening. BibleWithSleazy.com. Season 5 finale. Whew, feels good to have made it here. And this is a huge accomplishment. And again, I'm excited to see where this podcast legacy goes. Thank you. Love you. Enjoy your summer. Peace.